Epilogue. I've heard it said more than once that Kanye's success came overnight. People felt that because he rose from virtual obscurity to superstardom in what they believed to be a relatively short period of time, he must have snapped his fingers and all of a sudden became the Kanye West we know today. Well, that just isn't so. Kanye has worked long and hard for what he has achieved, and he still does. There is nothing magical about his success. It took and still takes persistence, discipline, commitment, and resilience. Those are a few of the qualities I tried to instill in Kanye from the very beginning. I would talk to him even before he was born. Yes, while he was still in my womb. I believe there's value in that. I believe that the stage must be set before the play ever begins. I am fortunate to have a son like Kanye, and from all indications, he feels fortunate to have a mother like me. I remember like it was yesterday, feeling down sometimes about one thing or another. It may have been because I had more bills than money at the time. It may have been because of some romantic breakup. It may have been that biorhythms were just not in sync that day. But all I needed to do was look down at those smiling eyes Kanye always had, and the sadness would just roll away. It worked every time. I have talked to other mothers who have experienced the same thing. Even now, when my friend and colleague Janella Blair and I speak about her 5-year-old son, Julian, or when I watch video clips on her Blackberry of him singing You Are My Sunshine, or making up lyrics about how much he loves his mom, I know all over again why it was imperative that I give birth to and raise at least one child. Nothing is more fulfilling, at least not to me. When Suzanne or Susan Lynn's, my confidant and many times my right hand, and I speak about her very heart and soul, 6-year-old Darius, I am reminded of how I felt when Kanye was an infant, a toddler, and a preschooler. And I'm gratified all over again. Sometimes I play the voicemail messages Darius has left, thanking me for the least little gift I have sent to him, and I can't help but think of Kanye at age 6. I reflect on how I knew then he was quite special. Somehow I knew that he'd have a gift to share with the world. And I knew I had to cultivate that and nurture him so that he could do the work he was sent here to do. I am grateful that even with all the mistakes I surely made in raising Kanye, I was able to impact some wisdom, some knowledge that has apparently stuck with him all these years. I've heard Kanye say that one thing he appreciates about how he was raised was being able to question anything without being shut down. It is important that kids are not only seen, but heard. I have never believed it should be any other way. Of course, kids have their place, and they should understand and respect that. But that place must be broad and safe. It must be a place where there is room to make mistakes and to learn from them. I had to learn that children have to have room to roam, at the same time have boundaries so that roaming does not become detrimental. I had to learn that unconditional loving does not mean unconditional giving. Instead, it means never, ever turning your back on your child, no matter what. You must always be there and put their needs in front of your own. That was not difficult for me because much of my life centered around making sure Kanye got the best care I could possibly conceive of giving him. I never felt put out in the least because, quite frankly, his happiness was mine. Now I had a life and activities that did not always include Kanye, but I never had a day pass that he was not central to, even if I was miles and miles away. The psychological connection can sometimes be stronger than the physical one. And when that is the case, love transcends the miles and creates a feeling of security in a child that makes him know he can do anything if he is encouraged and adequately prepared. Love is fundamental, but it is not enough. That love must translate into knowing where your child is at all times, seeing to it that the homework and other chores are completed, going places together, and communicating honestly and regularly. Any parent can say, I love you, but you must show up with that love, not just express it verbally. I have always been a romantic, not just in the sense of a significant other, but about life and all it encompasses. So I romanticized what was possible in raising Kanye. For me, everything was. We didn't have a lot of money, but we saw places in the farmost corners of the world. We didn't have 24 hours a day to spend together, but we established a bond that could not and cannot be broken. We didn't and don't always agree, but we respected and respect each other's right to an opinion. Sometimes when people see me on the street and recognize that I'm Kanye West's mother, they ask me what I did to raise such a brilliant and respectful child. It surprises me sometimes that what they remember is who is inside as reflected in his lyrics, not his persona, which may sometimes seem a little too blunt and forward for some. I smile and say thank you when they compliment me, knowing that much of my success as a parent came from being blessed with a bright, inquisitive, mischievous, and creative son. It seems to me that he came straight from the womb like that, and my job would be to focus almost single mindedly on providing a nurturing and intellectually challenging childhood for him. Sometimes I had to say no when I really wanted to say yes. Sometimes I had to sacrifice what I may have preferred doing at the moment to see to it that he did what he was supposed to do. The aim of parenting is the overall development of the child. Anything that might impact that in any negative way should be avoided at all costs. From an early age, children must be taught integrity, and the best way to teach is to demonstrate it. They must be taught success, and the best way to teach success is to be successful by your own standards. I was lucky. Even before Kanye was born, I had achieved some things that would contribute to my success as a person first, and then as a parent. I knew who I was fundamentally, and this is critical. I had a couple of degrees by the time Kanye was born, but my father, who valued education as much, if not more, than anyone I have ever known, taught me that all the degrees in the world would be worthless if you can't get along with people. I was also taught to put God first, and that has never failed me. I believe above all else that my unshakable faith in God brought about all I needed to provide for my child monetarily, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. I am convinced you cannot be a good parent if you are not a good person. And to the best parent, and to be the best parent, you must strive to do your best every day. When you do your best every day, then you can insist that your child do the same. Having high expectations is also critical. If you don't expect your child to go far and wide, and no teacher, preacher, or some responsible adult steps in with those expectations, it is unlikely that your child will reach for the moon or the stars, and you may rob them of their greatness. It's been said that there are no manuals that come with children when they arrive on this earth. You're not sent home from the hospital with a list of definitive actions that will result without fail in your child becoming a well adjusted, fulfilled, actualized, happy adult. Not even Dr. Spock could offer the magic formula. But having raised Kanye, I'm not so sure those formulas don't exist. The problem is they are so all encompassing that's and so specific to each child, they define being put on paper. But for certain, every child needs parents who are absolutely devoted to their well being at every turn. Caring does not necessarily mean coddling any more than teaching means merely telling. The responsibility of the parent is to figure out just what is appropriate and effective and supply whatever that is consistently. The greatest joy I have ever experienced is the joy of raising Kanye. If anything at all tops that, it's how the investment turned out and the love I received from him for putting in the time when he was coming up. I was nearly 28 years old when Kanye was born, and that worked well for me. It gave me time to complete most of my formal education and to learn some valuable lessons that I had not learned at 18. Lots of people become parents much younger than that, and they do it just fine. They raise fabulous children who turn out well and make invaluable contributions to the world. But whether a child is conceived at 16 or 46, his best shot at success is growing up in a loving and nurturing household with parents or a parent or guardian who insists on excellence and rewards it as well. I never thought when Kanye was born I would ever write a book about raising him. What I thought about was trying to be the best mother there ever was. Since Kanye is an only child, I had no prior experience at being a parent, but I knew full well that love, faith, patience, exposure, high expectations, good communication, and trust were a few of the things I valued most, and that they would be fundamental in raising a boy to manhood. I am as grateful for having had Kanye as I am for life itself. And I'm grateful too for this opportunity to share my story.